we're
you.
here. It's great to meet you. Thank you for taking a minute out today.
This is wonderful. I am so honored that we wanted to talk. This is great.
So, where are you located?
I am in paradise. I live in Southern California, a little bit north of Malibu, a little bit south of Santa Barbara. I live on the
Wow.
ocean. It's a place called Channel Islands Harbor.
Wow. Yeah, you are in paradise. Well, I'm in the middle of the country. I'm in Kansas City, Missouri. It's great to meet you.
One of my favorite places, by the way,
Yeah?
Kansas City. Yeah,
Okay.
aren't you guys the Super Bowl champions?
Yes, we are.
Wow, look how humble you are. Look at you. And I think my grandparents, so my father's father and mother, worked for the Kansas City Southern Railroad. And
Oh,
so as a
okay.
girl, I would take the train to Kansas City. And I remembered the food being, good.
Yeah.
And then I went back a few years ago as an adult and I went to this, and I'm sure it was the same barbecue place as I went as a girl. And I'm like, oh my gosh, why would I ever have barbecue again? This is like the way it's supposed to
Yeah.
taste.
Uh-huh. It is. It's absolutely is. It's a very surprising town, but it's great to meet you. And I want to begin our conversation before we get into your life as a writer and all these things that are a part of your world by asking you, we're on the 4-year anniversary of the pandemic.
Well,
How did you get through that time period and how did it change you?
this will be probably an unexpected answer. I'm a recent widow. My husband just died in December. He was for 15 years pastor, and he ended up being at a very large church, and thousands of people. And this is Southern California. In January of 2020, we had decided that it was time really to leave that, and so he was going to retire in March. Well, that's exactly when the pandemic hit. We have a large house, we're on the water, we have a big deck. And there are very many people because in Southern California, they literally closed the churches. It was against the law to meet there. I mean, and so there were very many people that we knew that had memory issues and all that stuff, and they couldn't watch church on the computer or on TV or whatever it was. We go, you can come to our house and you'll just be outside. And so they did, and we set up canopies out on our deck, and of course, when the worship team would play, it just flow down the harbor, down the water, and so we kind of became like a tourist site of like on Sunday morning, these people are going to be outside singing, and ironically, we thought it was just a few weeks. Our son and our daughter-in-law had been missionaries in Thailand, so as we say, we do it Thai style. So you meet in houses and you have food every week, and there's a lot of poor Christians in Thailand, so you just always make it be a meeting where it's more than just getting together. It's really enhancing people's lives. Anyway, it's still going after 4 years. So I live upstairs above a church. That's what happened to me during the pandemic. Other people have living room furniture. I got like the band stuff and the chairs and all that stuff. So sometimes we meet inside if it's like windy out, and then but otherwise we meet outside. So it's pretty fun.
So talk to me. I'm going to put you in front of a bunch of grade school kids right now to get a handle on exactly what you do on a daily basis. Third grade career day, one of the kids says, "Hey, what do you do for a living?" How do you answer that child?
I would say I am so delighted that you asked me that, because what I get to do is I get to write, and these I write things that I write about people that have never existed, and I write about places that no longer are there, and I get to walk around and talk with them, and then I want to capture it in such a way that I can share it with you, so that you'll care as much about those people as I do.
So what did you want to be in the third grade? What was your dream?
Oh my goodness. Probably a flight attendant. That seemed really good, like, leaving.
Yeah, absolutely. So talk to me a little bit about your childhood. How did you get to a point where you wanted to write and you're a storyteller? How did all this happen?
Oh, I grew up in a town, well, it's Stillwater, Oklahoma. It's where Oklahoma State is. My father was a professor. All my good friends growing up, they were always, professors' kids. We lived in the country, so I had a horse, and literally I went to little tiny country school. But this is a college town, so there's always lovely enrichment, the band concerts and you just, everything. Anyway, they gave standardized tests to all the third graders, and when a little kid in a country school that only goes to third grade makes the highest score of all the kids that have everything that's going on in town, it kind of changed things for me. And I was lucky because when you live in Oklahoma, we had a full basement under the house, a storm cellar, and I converted it into a theater. So I would write plays and I would invite the little Girl Scouts or the girls in my class, and we'd come over and we'd do my plays. And it was a wonderful escape from living in the country. I went to college there. I went away to a girls' school as well, women's college, and I was encouraged not to go into writing because you're going to have to make a way for yourself. So and I eventually became a professor, but it was information decision sciences. It has to do with computers, how to make or lose $1 zillion. Had really hundreds of students because I would teach online as well, distance learning and people face to face. It gave me a chance to meet so many smart students that would need some direction. Certainly in the early computer years where, understanding there's no free lunch, understanding there's no rules about this yet, there's no laws about this, but you really shouldn't go there. That kind of stuff. That really influenced me. I was lucky in the fact that I spent every summer of my life, because Oklahoma, where we were, is very hot. My grandmothers lived in Arkansas, and one of them in Silent Springs, one of them in Fayetteville. And so I would go to spend the summers with my grandmother, sew my clothes that I was going to need for the next years. But certainly, the people and that time of definitely off the grid, even then, life affected me very much.
So talk to me a little bit about who's been a hero and inspiration for you in your life.
Well, I would say my grandmothers, who very much loved that I could be creative, sew stuff and be nice, and they really encouraged me because I left for college at 16. I was having my 17th birthday in, the dorm room at college that was hundreds of miles away from where I grew up. It was okay to try new things, and I think they were very influential. I think from the writing point of view, probably the writer that affected me the most is Neil Simon. He wrote all these wonderful plays, and he just, to this day, the fact that he can do dialogue that's funny, and even awful actors can come off pretty good because he writes so nicely. I love that. I've always loved that.
So if you can meet anybody on the planet right now that you find fascinating, who would it be? Who would you love to meet and talk to?
Oh gosh.
Ah,
Well, you got great questions,
oh, thank
sir.
you.
Wow, that's alive today, you mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Um, hmm, Gosh, well, I'm I'm not sure. I'm glad I get to meet you.
But
I
okay. No, that's good. Let me kind of get to another point here and ask you this. Um, what was the first book that you read? What was the book that really opened you up that made you want to write?
Oh, well, we're going back to my story. I never really wanted to write a book. I always wrote skits
Yeah.
and screenplays. I got picked for the Maui Writers Conference based on some stuff. I used to review movies too, kind of as a hobby, and I did that for Main Performance Magazine. And so they picked my stuff. So I go to Maui and I'm pitching essentially the characters that are in my book, and they're like, "Wow, this is really unique, but you're going to have to write a book because nobody cares about the screenwriter." I'm like, "Whoa!" So I came home with the challenge of how am I going to write? I always loved Agatha Christie. I always loved certainly Arthur Conan Doyle, the Sherlock Holmes mysteries. I read all the Perry Mason mystery, even as a girl. And so I knew mystery was going to be my genre, was how I was going to have to do it. I didn't totally know what I was doing. So we put together a writers group of everybody that wanted to be writers. And then every week you'd come in with 10 pages and you read aloud what you did. By the time I got done, I knew mine was, as they say, a read aloud book. So the fact that it went on Audible now and I have this wonderful guy reading it, it's like, oh, I thought that probably worked because I spent a lot of time sharing orally what was going on. Good news was in that writers group we had a couple of like lawyers and stuff. So we have as part of our um, 3-page hook is we have a woman and her husband dies and she's going to be getting $1 million windfall from wrongful death. And of course, so it's all right because the lawyers made sure that we had that. And we call it credible fiction. Mine is credible fiction in the fact that we are exploring cold cases of murders of really good people. So probably every murder mystery you've ever read or even seen on television, what it happens is somebody dies and then you get all these suspects and then you eliminate, who's what. Well, mine it's and I hopefully all of them, the next one will be the same thing. It's a really good man. So the more that we dive into it, the more there's no money, there's no secret life, there's no the, and then the clues that come up as we explore them each one about you realizing wait that's not what happened either, that's not what happened either. So it's one of those ones where each chapter you're like nobody did it but obviously somebody did. So
Yeah.
that one is it's a little bit different even way of presenting a murder mystery. So people who are used to by chapter 3 figuring out who did it based are a little bit frustrated because we set it up so that it's a real mystery.
That's
So,
excellent. So what's your motivation every day to wake up, to do what you do, to be who you are, to evolve as a human? What is that motivation for you?
oh, that's sweet. I think, as you know, when you are really involved in that creative muse, where you just, and I know that a lot of the artists call the flow or being in the zone, you walk around in a place that doesn't actually exist and you care about and mourn for people that have never existed. I think, and then when that is kind of over, oh my gosh, there's just such a huge gap in your life, which is why I know a lot of like rock singers and stuff, they use drugs and all that stuff because they're trying to fill that in their lives. I think what happened for me, now in this new chapter in my life, it's like I kind of died to self. I kind of am choosing to just be a Stradivarius, and I'm going to keep myself tuned and ready so that when I get picked up by the master to play something, I'll be ready.
Yeah.
Um, so that
Yeah.
sounds crazy, doesn't
No, no, it's cool. I
it?
like it. I like the way you describe that. So I'm curious of all of the things that you've done in your life so far, what are you the proudest of?
Oh, well, it is true. I was married for 53 and a half years, moved 19 times,
Wow.
grown up sons, 2 sons, two daughter-in-laws, 5 grandchildren. I would say, I was very proud of being a teacher as a dean of a little Bible college. I think pride is I'm always just glad that at one of my husband's memorial services, there were several people that came around me that had read my book, and they go, I knew I was stuck. And then I started reading about this widow and how she and her grandson go on this, and I knew that I could do stuff. Everybody's saying to me, "Oh, you're just an old lady," or "Oh, you're just overlooked." And vicariously, that's what fiction does. All of a sudden, they're going on this adventure, and I think that was very fun for me to feel like, gosh, we got a whole new chapter going on, and let's just make sure that other people that are stuck can feel like, there's some hope. You're, as far as the world's concerned, you're kind of done. You don't really have much value. And but you know what? You do.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's wonderful. Let me ask you this. What's the best advice you've ever gotten?
oh, gosh, you got good questions.
Good.
Uh, Probably not to give up, not to
Yeah,
give up. And you're gonna have to repent of your despair and self-pity because it's not serving you.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. So everyone out there has a perception of you, family, friends, your fans, but you run the show. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
Oh my. I would have to say right now, my perception is let's just get through the day well. And I've been given a lot of blessings and a lot of opportunities. For instance, on a couple of days from now, my son and I actually will be flying to Arkansas for we're doing some intense eyes on for the next book. I've already done the research that I do with the computer um, and as part of it, because one of my characters drive around an old pickup truck, he's rented a truck for us to drive. I was like, this is pretty fun.
Yeah,
So he teaches film and video, and so again, when you write books, there's a lot of layers, and it's easy sometimes to kind of get lost of the drama of the story of driving it forward and making sure that's really tight. Nice part about it is when you get involved with the visual or the screenplay, it's every word has got to just move that story forward. And so that's a nice accountability for me, is like we can't go there because that's not going to move us along. So I suppose that's another blessing as well. Is
yeah.
great.
So let me ask you this. If anyone wants to pick up your books, learn more about you, reach out, any of the good business, what do they do?
Well, we put a little bar there.
Yes.
So we have several things. I'm on Amazon, and now as of March 15th, we actually have Audible books, and we're on Spotify. The characters kind of like Sherlock Holmes. We have this grandson who's like 25, who's our narrator. And so he's the one that read it for Audible, and my gosh, he does a really good job.
Yeah.
It's fun when you hear the characters in your mind, but then when you actually hear it, he obviously had a grand time doing it. So
Yeah.
it's very exciting. So yep, we're Donna Lynd Mysteries, and then on Facebook, and that would actually even take you to my Facebook as well.
Okay.
One of the things that we're encouraging people is because we have kind of an interesting niche, and that is people who have, a lot of them have been around the block a while. I go, you know what? If you'll take a picture with my book and you'll send it in to me at Facebook, well, we'll put you up there. And and then I'll send you a bookmark, and which if I get their address, so I do that. Well, now we found that there have been some what do you say, residence homes. That was another thing that I learned at my husband's memorial. And so they were like, we've got people that are depressed, and we'd like to have them, get together. We can't really do a Bible study, but we can do a book club. So is it okay if we, this is a no kidding, real uplifting murder mystery, in the kind of the style of Murder, She Wrote. What if we have a book club? And I go, you know what? I think that's the most brilliant idea ever. I'm sure if you need a discount, we can figure out a way to do that. And now that it's available in audio, you have people with eyesight problems, and it's also Kindle too. So they could certainly participate. So ironically, apparently, it's been a really nice thing to enrich people's lives that might that they feel stuck.
Yeah,
That's kind
absolutely. Yeah,
of.
that's wonderful. Donna, what a great story. Thank you for opening up. Thank you for your, being candid and giving us your story, and best of luck with everything. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you.
Yeah. Send my love to that beautiful place out there in California.
We grow strawberries and flowers. You know how frail we are, right? Hey, order Uber for me with the barbecue,
I
right?
will. We'll swap. Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.